Hey there, this is the recap video for the Date Night Couples Time Massage class on quality time. And we begin with actually a personal exercise that you can do to warm up your own hips. So this is called a bear sit. This is my partner, my lovely assistant Jennifer Reel for today. So post up on your hands behind you. We're not slouching, we have a nice long spine. Feet are flexed. Don't move your hips at all. Glue your sits bones down to the ground. Pivot on one heel. Keep the foot flexed to protect the knee. Gentle push in at the end, feel, and then open back up. Pull both knees wide to contract the external hip rotators. Then pivot on the other heel. Keep the foot flexed. Gentle push in at the end, feel, to stretch the external hip rotators. Okay, so open, pull the knees wide. Pivot on the heel, gentle push in at the end, feel. Keep doing this 6 to 10 times on each side. And if one side is more restricted than the other, then you can do that side. So for me, it would be my left side. You can do that side a few times on its own. And be sure not to move the pelvis, okay? Keep the pelvis static. Then we moved on to our partner activities, our partner Thai massage. But just remember, because the focus was quality time, we're trying to be really present with each other. Quality time is what you make of it. So if you're mentally absent while you're working on your partner, they won't feel that love and attention. You turn it into quality time by being present with one another. So we started out with our partner lying face up on their back. So head at that end. And scoot all the way to the end. Good, nice. Okay, great. And straighten out the legs. We started out with work on the hamstrings. So come next to your partner, sit beside their leg, scoop under the heel and lift the leg up. Push the heel high. One leg straight on the outside foot walks to the outer hip. The other foot pushes the back of the thigh to initiate a bend in the knee. Other hand comes to the bottom of the foot, so the outer ankle and back of the heel are being supported, and then the inner hand supports at the arch of the foot. So I can really steer and direct with my thumb toward the pinky toe side of the foot and palm right in line with the arch of the foot. Very slight bend in the leg of the foot that's contacting the back of the thigh. And I'm going to gently lean back to push my foot into the back of the hamstring. We're going to trace up and down. Flat foot. You can move toward the inner aspect of the thigh and especially the outer aspect of the thigh. That's the best. The most advantageous line to work in this position. Feels great. Good. Next time you go down, heel to the mat, ball of the foot above your partner's sits bone. I'm going to lean back and pull her ankle. It's going to lift up her hips slightly, and my foot underneath is gently pushing. So I'm pushing above the sits bone, technically below, but with this orientation it's above as I pull. Push the knee forward, maybe rotate it out to the side and around. You can reposition the foot and lean back. Do this at least 3 times. And then lean back. You can even lay all the way down and just hang out.
That feels amazing.
I'm slightly moving my foot underneath my partner's bum. It's on the hamstring side of the pelvis. And I'm kind of pushing that foot toward her and articulating in and out to feel different aspects of where the hamstrings attach, because all the hamstrings attach right at this one spot, at the ischial tuberosity. All right, sit back up, push the knee forward, open the knee out to the side, and then let the knee rest here. Pull the other foot in, and I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see this a little bit better. So here we are. Jennifer's knee is out to the side. Both of my feet make contact with the hamstring, and just, this hand comes to the foot and ankle. Other hand comes to the opposite foot, right over here. Okay? So from here, I'm going to push my feet into the hamstrings, the inner thigh. We're getting some adductor muscles here too. Kind of like kneading like a cat, but with your feet. In and out at least one time to warm up and say hello to these muscles. And then the outer foot, the one that's closer to the knee, slides underneath. So I'm locking here, hooking with the foot. The second foot is, I'm kind of vicing. Both hands come to the foot of the leg that I'm working on. Outer hand supports underneath the outer ankle. Top hand grabs the arch of the foot. So I'm gonna, again, lock and then lean back to go deeper. So this is where we get to go deeper. Gonna lock and sink. Balancing the forces of push and pull. Working in and out. And I'm going to show you this. If you want to deepen the pressure, then invert the foot. So I'm kind of turning the knife edge of my foot, pushing it into the tissue a bit more. So if you want to go deeper and you can't use more force, then what do? You just sharpen the tool.
That's amazing.
Jennifer approves. Okay, so once you've worked with the more specific pressure, then return to both feet. So foot comes out to the side, saying goodbye, make nice, as one of my teachers said. And then we just guide our partner into tree pose. So, sole of the foot toward the other leg, that's straight. We move toward the bended knee, either kneeling or lunging. Both hands, kind of like a butterfly, to the inner thigh. And we're just gonna gently lean forward and down. It's okay if the other hip comes up. Sinking slowly, layer by layer. Moving up toward the pelvis. When you get closer to the groin, you can bring palm on top of palm this way, in line with the underwear line. And then compress back out. When you're done, grab the ankle, guide the leg straight, and give it a little jostle. Yeah. Next, have your partner turn over to lie face down and come down in between their ankles. So, kneel between your partner's ankles, grab under the outer side of the ankles, and initiate a bend. Turn your fingers to point up, palms forward, so you can just gently push forward, stretching your partner's quads a few times. Now grab onto the ankles and just windshield wiper the shins side to side. It's okay if the pelvis moves. Just introducing some rotation, some internal and external rotation into the hips. Next, we're going to grab onto the ankles. So now fingers point down, palms forward, and stand up one foot at a time. Now we're in a standing position. Stand up and open your partner's knees out to the side. One foot plants in between the partner's knees. It's the foot of the stronger leg. The second foot, I had one teacher call this a Barbie foot, so it's like pointed, but the toes are flexed. Heel is high, and place the ball of the foot on your partner's sacrum. So the flat bone at the base of the spine nestled in between the two pelvic bones. This foot is pushing down, but also kind of pulling back toward me to keep length in the low back. I'm going to do the same thing, stretching the quads, but this time we'll maintain a little more length in the low back before we grab the ankles and stand up with the standing leg. If your partner has openness in their hip flexors, you can pull the elbows up and back. And then release the knees down, step back, walk back, give the legs a pull, and release tops of the feet back down to the floor. Next, we compressed the low back and glutes. So, Jennifer, please bend your knee out to the side. There you go. Nice. So, one knee bent out to the side, just to show you what that looks like from above. Something like that. And I am going to position myself. Bring this arm up. There's several ways we can do this. So I can come into kind of a Z formation. This is called Bharadvajasana in yoga. But zigzag like this, or even kneeling up. I'm going to bring my forearm, not the pointy part of the elbow, this, they call it the proximal fifth of the forearm in massage. So the flat part, and I'm going to make contact with that flat part right here at the glute. So in between the outer hip bone and the sacrum and the top of the pelvis, I'm just gonna lean to the side. So I'm kind of just like chilling here. Reposition yourself however you need to be most comfortable. I'm not collapsing into the shoulder. I'm keeping it pretty strong and open, but I'm sinking into the tissue layer by layer. Start with a warm-up, so not too deep, too fast. Second hand can just rest on your partner comfortably. And I can even work on the same area, similar seated position, just facing in the other direction. So here's another angle from this position. I'm gonna lock next to the sacrum and kind of pull the gluteal tissue back toward me. So this is a different angle, a different feel, still working with that flat part of the forearm close to the elbow. Next, we move on to the low back. So I'm also going to use my forearm. You could face in either direction, above the pelvic bone and below the rib cage. There's a small amount of tissue here. So not this soft part of the waist right here on the outside. You want the meaty tissue right next to the spine. So I'm going to make contact with the muscle tissue, again, not the soft part of the waist, and just lean into it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Remember, the first few compressions are just to say hello. From this angle, I'm locking and sinking in toward the spine, but you can also move over to the other side of your partner's body to compress and to draw the tissue away from the spine. I'll show you that now. So from the other side, also using the forearm, similar position. This time, make sure you're not on the spine. A sharp elbow right to the spinous processes, the bones, doesn't feel very good. So clear that, lock into the muscular tissue, and sink down and then a little bit away from the spine. Doesn't look like I'm doing much. Always rise and sink layer by layer. And just like we discussed in class, you just meet your partner's barrier. Their body will soften when it's ready. We're not trying to push past our partner's barriers. Maybe just a few positions on this side to lock and sink. And then rise slowly, have our partner straighten the bent leg, and give a little jostle to the pelvis and the back. Partner receiving, bring your arms down by your sides. Kneeling on either side of your partner's head, start with heel of hand and palms to the upper traps and shoulders. My hips are toward my heels so I can have a forward and downward angle of pressure. Rocking side to side, out to the shoulders and then back in. And now I'm going to palm walk down either side of the spine. Once you get just in between the shoulder blades or just below them, I'm going to rise up so I get more downward compression. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So even here, layer by layer, broad palms, not just the heel of the hand, that's too sharp. So spread the pressure out across the whole hand. Palm walk down to the low back, frame the sacrum, lock forward and downward. You can stay here, so I'm tractioning length in her low back, or you can tuck the toes, lift the hips, and come into downward dog. Three to 10 breaths here, then soften the knees down around your partner's head. Remove that forward downward pressure, and then hips come forward, shoulders above wrists once again to palm walk all the way back up your partner's back. Hips sink toward the heels so you can compress outward at your partner's shoulders and feather off. And finally, we closed with some foot to shoulder upper trap compression. So partner's still lying face down. Their head turns away from the shoulder that you want to work on. And then start with the foot where the arch of your foot matches up with the neck. You can post your hands up behind you, or you can lean against a wall. I'm going to slowly sink, pressure forward, and then remove a few times to warm up and say hello. And then when we're close to the neck, I want you to lock and sink. Is that pressure okay? Mm-hmm. Do you want more or less or the same?
You can always do more.
Always do more. Okay. So if your partner wants more pressure, like start with this and feel the tissue soften underneath the compression of your foot. And if you want more pressure, then we can just sharpen the pressure by switching the feet. Scoot the hips over too so your hip is in line with your foot. We're going to lock and sink. This way the knife edge of the foot is closer to the neck, right where all of that meaty tissue is layered. And if you want even sharper pressure, you can invert the foot. So kind of rolling the outer edge into the shoulder, the big toe side of the foot rolls away. Remove pressure layer by layer and then make footprints out toward the edge of the shoulder and feather off. You can stay in those compressions for as long as you like. You can hold them for as long as you like. In neuromuscular massage, you can hold those for like 90 seconds, but longer or shorter depending what your partner wants. Thank you, Jennifer, for being my model today.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And that's all we did for the Quality Time workshop. So thanks for watching.